Abortion is murder, and I still support it. 3, 2, 1.
I don't want to get flamed for this, but I have a rationale.
What if you could speak your mind without fear of judgment? We brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and created a space for them to be completely honest. What will be revealed when they take the mask off?
I have slut-shamed someone.
Hell yeah, I have. I mean, I probably did it last week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do it to people's faces, but like, misogyny runs so deep. I'm gonna think bad things about a girl that's prettier than me. I'm gonna like, oh, you know, a slut. I'm gonna think that.
I went to Catholic school, so we were forced to sign chastity cards, like physical cards. We had the whole presentations where they literally would like wrap a present and then like rip it apart and kick it and be like, this is what happens when you have sex before marriage. And like, I was definitely kind of to some of my like first friends who had been like having sex for a while or whatever. It's definitely partially a product of like religion and the way that this whole country is tied into Protestantism and everything as well.
When I was in the 8th grade, there was this girl, my friend group, they would slut shame her because she was always like hypersexual. And once me and her got close, I found out that she was sexually assaulted. And so, you know, ever since she told me her story, I stopped slut shaming. Even if I don't agree with what someone is doing, I just say that is their business and they will take it up with God on their judgment day. It don't got nothing to do with me.
I've used my sexuality for personal gain.
Listen, if I'm gonna be oppressed for it, I'm gonna use it to my advantage when I want to. Like, it's something that is unavoidable.
Okay, I think I misunderstood the question. Okay, so I like your answer. I'm gonna flip it. Oh, good. I was like, okay, got it. All right. My whole life I felt like I was sexualized, and I was an early bloomer too. So I felt like I was constantly sexualized as a child, and when I got like past like losing my virginity and then being groomed and then being assaulted, and I got to the age where I was like, that's so f***ed up, that it was kind of like a revelation for myself, being like, if it's what'll get me like what I need, I'll use it.
Yeah. You know, like if I'm gonna get catcalled, I might as well get something out of it.
Like not monetary personal gain, but internal personal gain. Fitting in, getting positive reinforcement, that sort of thing. I still feed into the insecurity of, if I'm not getting that, like what am I worth? And I feel like that's very dangerous. I'll be, you know, getting dressed for a night out or to go out, and I'm like, why am I wanting to dress a certain way? What kind of attention do I really want to get?
Not all women should be believed.
Hear me out. Okay, I'm gonna start here and then go and then figure out if I change it later. I'm automatically switching. I rethought this.
I think that the first thing that jumped into my head that made me like go with, like I agree with this, is all those stupid ass white women that call the cops irresponsibly and without reason and stuff like that. That's sort of where my logic went in on this, not so much regarding like SA and stuff like that, because I would support any woman in that. Even if she's lying, I'm still gonna believe her.
I feel like there's like a line. Obviously, believe all women when it comes to, you know, sexual assault. But then there's like the line that like knowing that people are bad. You know, there are people who want to do harm. And if they're a woman, then it sucks, you know? I guess why I went with this is to say, not immediately saying no right away. And to be like, okay, here we are, this happened, let's talk about it. You know? I think for me it comes from the misogynistic like idea that a lot of women just like lie because they're like
Jezebels and you know, like they're just we're just like tricksters for some reason. Like a lot of people, specifically men, think like, oh, well, they're just saying it to get fame or fortune or whatever. And I'm like, can you name one of the people that Bill Cosby assaulted? No. My initial, similar to you, is just like, yes, like I want to hear what this woman has to say because I've been lied to way more by men in my life than by women.
Canceling men is necessary for progress.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I'm not necessarily pro cancel culture, but I'm pro holding people accountable. But I feel like with canceling men, I feel like we saw this a lot with Andrew Tate. It was really good that we were bringing attention to it, and women saw how much of a scumbag he was. And I feel like a good amount of men did too. But at the same time, it became kind of like a joke. It became entertainment for men.
I agree with like accountability for sure. I feel like canceling someone or canceling a singer or a rapper or whatever, just like not listening to their music or not supporting them. But like men as a system, that's like not possible. They hold the power. So like not, engaging with them isn't gonna like progress us any further. We have to engage with them to progress further.
You need to be able to converse with the issue to have the issue fixed. Like, because if you like run to cancel someone, then they're gonna be defensive and not learn anything from it. Like if somebody really and truly, I think, should be canceled like fully, they should just be like convicted, like put behind bars. Like there is a crime, a real crime.
Sometimes jail doesn't even work because like Bill Cosby's out of jail. Like he got out on a technicality.
It's exactly, I don't trust the system. I as much as the example I'm currently always going back to is the Brock Turner case. Because if he raped a girl and he got 6 months probation, served 3 of it, and the way I've seen cancel culture help in that case, I feel like sometimes cancel culture can step in where the law and our government and our judicial system fail.
Abortion is murder, and I still support it.
I feel like it's a really worded question in a way.
That's interesting.
I didn't think about the phrasing of the question.
I don't want to get flamed for this.
No, but I think
I have a rationale. Yeah. So I 100%, anybody that wants an abortion should have full access, no barriers, everything. I think, and I'm not even sure I agree with saying that it's murder, but I think that sometimes people talk about abortion very callously and ignore the like trauma that is associated with it, even if you have zero regrets, like it's the best decision you've ever made in your life. Women that I've listened to and heard from and read opinions from, it's still like a traumatic experience. I don't know, I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I think just the weight of it now has been lessened a little bit. I think that is shifting back again though because of the awful recent events. But I would say for the past like 5 years or so, I've just heard it in my own community is like tossed around lightly, and I don't necessarily think that it should be handled really lightly.
I agree with like the latter half of the statement. I feel like it's like if it were to be considered murder, I would still support it.
Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Then I would say
That changes it.
because it's not. It's still, even if it is murder, it's not an easy choice. Like that makes it even more of a difficult conversation. It's like such a deeper thing.
This question is actually making me really emotional because I just gave birth in February, and I love my son. He's like my world. But
When I touch your hand,
thank you. I recently thought I was pregnant again. And I'm not in a position to have another baby right now. Any baby I may want to keep, but I knew if I was pregnant this one, I wouldn't have been able to keep. know. And I just know, like, some people who I know, they wouldn't have understood it. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
And that's the reality, you know? It's not like people are maliciously trying to, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a choice, and am I going to be able to provide for myself and my already born child? Or, you know, is this going to be healthy for my mental health? It's not like you are maliciously trying to destroy a clump of cells. It's your life, and that matters more than, in my opinion, than any kind of potential baby.
Absolutely. I feel like because of this, of the dissolve of Roe v. Wade, like, I feel like I don't even want to try to have kids anymore. Like, they're doing the opposite thing to us. There are so many women who want to try, but we've heard the stories of women who have miscarriages and go in and try to get seen by a doctor and say, we can't do that, so we call your lawyer. And I have so many health issues. I have endometriosis, I have PCOS. Like, I have everything under the female sun that could exist. I could very easily carry a pregnancy that's not good.
Yeah.
I could very easily die from ectopic pregnancy. And the fear that if for one day this expanded and reached where I live, I could die, you know? And it's so scary. And it deters women like me who are on the fence from even wanting to have kids.
The future isn't female.
As much as I want to fight for it, I see this misogyny in my brothers, and you know, my father even told me when I was in high school, I asked him, I said, do you think men are superior to women? And he said, yeah, to my face. I'm his eldest daughter, his only daughter, you know. So that hurts, and to see that, it puts a really gray tone over the world for you.
I guess I'm super radical, and I'm like, just end all of this stuff. Like, and so I feel like feminism is for the time being. I want to end gender as a whole because I think it's binding and it's oppressive. So I feel like the future is neither female nor male.
I don't know. I do like the concept of gender because to some degree, it is not who we are as a whole, but it does make us. I like identifying as a woman. And also I'll challenge that by saying who are gonna be the ones to be the voices for queer people and non-binaries, because it's not gonna be cis hetero men.
That's true.
It's gonna be women.
Yeah.
No.
We're gonna have you put your masks back on. Thank you so much.